home of these aggressive tiger bass, and an abundance of wildlife, including a pair of bald eagles who recently had 2 babies, and I'll be showing you some feeding clips later in the video. But today we're going to be doing an electrofishing survey, and you are not going to believe the size of some of the bass living here in the Crimson Oak Pond. I was literally blown away. But this is going to be an action-packed video, especially if you're a fan of aggressive bass, because this warm spring weather has them fired up. Alright, we got the guys at Southeastern Pond Management here to start the electrofishing survey. And they've got a specialized boat for this that's got 2 long extension poles on the front, and it works by sending electrical pulses down into the water, which will temporarily cause the bass and bluegills to rise to the surface, where you scoop them with a net and collect data. But the reason these surveys are so valuable is because it gives you an in-depth look at all aspects of your pond. To start off with, you get to see the full range and size of bass that live in the pond, from those little 2-inch bass all the way up to the biggest bass here. But another key metric is it shows you how much bait is in your pond. So we're going to see all the bluegill, shad, and tilapia populations, which will key us in on how much bait to stock this coming year. But one of the main reasons I decided to do the survey this time of year is because if you watched our previous video, now that the bass are entering their 3rd year, it's time to start removing some of the bass, because each year bass lay tens of thousands of eggs, and many of those bass fry survive, and the pond will quickly get overpopulated if you don't control it. But the reason I want to use the electrofishing survey to remove some of the bass is because if you only remove the bass out of the pond that you catch, you're removing a lot of the more aggressive bass. And those are the type of fish we want to keep in the pond, so by removing some of the bass out during the survey, we'll be getting a good mixture of those more and lesser aggressive bass out of the pond. So right away, we started seeing a bunch of small bluegills, especially when we went by any of that shallow cover. And it didn't take long for the bass to start coming up as well. And it wasn't any surprise that the Oak Throne was loaded with bass and bluegill. And here we're going over one of those old pea gravel beds, and you can see a lot of those smaller bluegill fry from last year. So the biologist wanted to break the pond into halves and catch the fish in the first half, then collect all the data from them, release them, then go survey the second half of the pond. And it didn't take long to catch the fish we needed. Pretty much every piece of structure in the pond held bass. So I was pretty surprised with the overall weight of the fish. We were getting a lot of those quality 4 and 5 pounders. But I was really shocked when I saw this next fish. And this is one reason I love this fishing survey, is because it shows you things about your pond that you wouldn't typically ever get to see. So this is an adult gizzard shad, and we've never stocked any gizzard shad in the pond because, as you can see, they can grow to over a pound and get so big that the bass can't eat them. So it's interesting to see that at least one gizzard shad lives in the pond, and we're going to go into depth on that here in a minute. So at this point, we were almost done with surveying the first half of the pond, and as we were working our way back to the dock, we had a giant female bass come from directly beneath the dock. Now it's time to analyze some of these fish and look at some of the data. So one really interesting thing the biologists did is they added an anesthetic to the live well, and that helps to calm these fish down so that while we're weighing them and getting the measurements, they're not fighting us. So here's a look at that giant bass that was under the dock. And folks, you're not going to believe this, but I tried scanning the bass multiple times looking for a pit tag, and it did not exist. So this bass was one of the original bass we stocked in the pond and has never been caught in almost 3 years. That's incredible. So we got weight and length measurements and installed a new pit tag in it. And this was the first of many big bass to come, weighing in at 6.56 pounds with a 20¼ inch length, giving it a relative weight of 136%. Man, what a giant bass. But now that we got the data, we're releasing her back into the water, and that fresh pond water knocks that anesthetic out. And after just a few seconds, she's got a short swim right back over to that dock. So we continued the process with the other bass in the live well.
1582. Okay. 3.49 with a 100 index. She's right where she needs to be.
One thing to note about these biologists is they like measuring in millimeters and grams. That gives you the most precise weights and lengths.
It's a 383 with 107 condition factor.
But at this point, we were seeing a lot of females come through, so I asked them the best way to determine if a bass was male or female.
Good lighting. Yeah. The male is in Blake's hand, the female is in mine. Yeah, okay. That's her ovipositor. It actually sticks out, and if you look at it from the side, it's kind of protruding. As she spawns, it'll even get more red and bloody. Okay. But it's all about the size and the shape. It's a sort of a crescent moon, whereas a male will always have a perfectly circular bottom.
Almost identical.
Yeah. Okay. Female? No.
All right, now we're starting to survey the second portion of the pond and cover some of those deeper areas. And you can tell as we cruise down the bank, there's a very healthy population of those small bluegills. And you'll even see some of those smaller bass mixed in that we're going to attempt to remove. And when we went by one of the diffusers, one other thing I was surprised to see was a big school of silver-side minnows. We had a big population of those long, skinny, transparent-looking minnows. And it was almost like clockwork anytime we came around any of the structure. And there's a lot of it back in that corner where Bonnie's Bayou is. And so while talking to the biologist, I asked him how many fish we would sample on average here, and he said typically on their surveys, you only get to see 5 to 10% of the fish in that body of water. But that's usually all they need to give them a good sample size and get enough data so they can see what's going on and make their recommendations. So at this point, I told the guys if they wanted to net up a few big ones to head over to the bluegill pellet feeder right in front of Cedar Falls. And right on cue, some giant bass came up. That's those big bluegill eaters that we've been watching in our previous videos. They sit there waiting on the feeders to go off and ambush them. So now it's time to look at some of the data on the second survey. Starting out with this big beauty. Had a familiar pit tag of 9722. And we got the weight and length measurements on this one.
It's a 5.45-pound bass with 140 condition.
And most of you all know this fish. Its name is the goat. But interestingly enough, it's been a year since we caught the goat, and it's only gained close to a pound, so its growth rate has definitely slowed down because it was once the top dog in this pond, but now we're starting to see that there's at least a couple of fish bigger than the goat.
26.30. That is a 580 with a condition of 128. So that is a different fish.
0540 on that tag. So this fish is named Yoshi, and I was not expecting that from Yoshi. The last time we caught her, she was a 2-pounder with some average to below average weight gains, but has gained 3.5 pounds in a little over a year. But folks, look at the size of these bass. I thought we'd get a big one, but never expected to see growth like this on multiple fish, which really does show that all that hard work we did with this pond build and management efforts has paid off. At this point, I couldn't be happier.
0687. That is almost 4 pounds, 110.
But there were several other good fish. As you can see here, even the small bass, some of them had multiple bluegills in their mouth.
22.93. 5.1 pounds, 117. Add bait fish and just ensure that we have the proper size for everything. This bar graph here is very much an indicator of what's going on. The trajectory here is, your younger, smaller, 10 to 14-inch fish are not growing quite as well as anything 16 inches and above. What that indicates to me is that you have proper amount and size for your bigger fish, and a lot of these guys here are eating small bass. Okay. These guys, although it looks like around the edges of the pond you have a lot of small bluegill, they're just not quite getting enough of the right size forage. Okay.
So at this point we had wrapped up the survey, but as the guys were driving the boat back to the trailer, they netted one more fish and had to turn around and come back to me because it was a giant. Where some of those other fish had been short and stocky, this one had simply outgrown the rest in all categories. And I really am at a loss for words because now it's just got me thinking how many of these big bass are truly in this pond. But this one showed some signs of spawning, which is perfect. You want to see those genetics in future generations of these bass.
That's the biggest fish of the day. That's a 672. 31. Saw that 30. And let's get her pit tag number again. 701. Okay. See you next year.
So this is Junebug and holds the current record for the biggest bass in the Crimson Oak Pond, weighing in at 6.72 pounds. And it's crazy that I caught this fish a little over a year ago in January, and it weighed 3.37 pounds, and has doubled its weight in about 15 months. But here's a quick look at the biggest 5 bass, starting out with Yoshi, which we had caught the most, at 5.79 pounds. And then there's the goat, which had minimal weight gain, but is still the leader in the relative weight column at 140%, which is incredible. We got Kiwi weighing in at a little over 5 pounds. It gained 2.5 pounds since last May. Then the big girl Junebug, and last but not least, that first bass we caught under the dock that did not have a tag, weighing in at 6.56. And you know we've got to name this big girl, so leave a comment down below on what you think we should name the fish that's tagged 3397. You definitely want your name beside her in this contest. because she's just a few ounces shy of being the overall weight leader. And today's video is brought to you by The Ridge, and if you're like me and have been looking for an alternative to those big bulky wallets, then the Ridge wallet is a perfect fit for you. It's designed to hold up to 12 cards and includes a cash strap, but keeps that slim profile which allows you to wear it in your front or back pockets. But one of my favorite features of the Ridge wallet is its Apple AirTag attachment. So once you have that AirTag inserted, you can always find your wallet by pulling up your iPhone. And the best feature is it'll even show you which direction to travel and how far that wallet is away. And if most of you guys are like me, that alone is priceless. And another really cool product is the Ridge key case, which holds up to 6 keys and was designed to eliminate the jingle, so no more rattling keychain. And Ridge has extended its product lineup with knives, suitcases, and rings. So for those of you that have been on the fence about purchasing a Ridge wallet, now's the perfect time because Ridge is having its anniversary sale where you can get 40% off by going to ridge.com/BamaBass. So do me a favor, folks, and go check them out. So the next thing we did is weigh all of the fish that we're removing out of the pond. Most of those are males and smaller bass, and we'll be talking about that more here in just a minute. But we're getting all of those transferred over into these holding baskets because we've got several subscribers lined up to meet us out here and bring some of them to their pond. So we finished up this afternoon right here at sunset. We're going to leave some of the bass in holding tanks throughout the pond that we're going to be giving away to some of you subscribers. I got guys lined up to come first thing in the morning. But if you notice, I'm looking all the way around the pond's edge and not a single bluegill or bass didn't survive the shocking, so that's pretty incredible. All right, more on the fish survey here in just a minute, but now let's check in on Cedar Falls. We have all the bass lined up here and have a special treat for you today as we got some of the most explosive topwater action that we've gotten all year during today's feeding. We're also starting to see some spawning action you'll be seeing here in just a moment. But first, let's take a dive underwater and see this highlight reel. So while we watch some of these feeding clips, we'll talk a little bit more about the survey. And I'll be honest, it took a minute to process. We ended up collecting data on a little over 50 fish. And I don't know why, but I was just not expecting there to be that many big ones. But that just goes to show that one of those biggest bass didn't have a tag in it, so you never really know what's living in your pond. But as far as the results go on the bass, those initial F1 tiger bass we stocked, that generation's doing great and had those bigger females in it. And we also had some really good growth rates from that second generation, but we did remove some of those male bass from the second generation as well as a lot of the smaller fish from this previous spawn and that third generation. But some other key data that we learned, first off, our bluegill population's doing pretty incredible. We had all sizes, from the small bluegill fry up to the full-size adults. And the biologist said one of the reasons our bluegill populations are doing so good is because we've supplemented all the other bait fish, the threadfin shad, tilapia, and even the prawns, which removes that heavy target from the bluegills. But the reason they're so important is because they're in the pond year-round. Threadfin shad can sometimes die off in the winter. The majority of the tilapia won't survive the winter, and the same goes for the prawns. Any that did make it through the summer, they can't handle that cold weather. So the bluegills are very important from those winter months up until the spring when the water temps warm back up. Now, as far as threadfin shad populations, we only saw one big school of adult threadfin shad, which the biologists weren't too concerned about. He said there's some ponds that don't have any in the spring. And we didn't net any tilapia, which means most of them didn't survive the winter. So a lot of you may be thinking, okay, it's great to have all this data, but what do you do with it? So as far as the bait goes, bluegills are in great shape. We need to add more threadfin shad this year. We're also going to stock another truckload of those adult golden shiners, which we saw how much the bass loved them this past fall, and they pretty much wiped them all out. So that's the bait fish side of things. Now the next thing we have to talk about are the goals for the pond and how many fish to remove. And we got some other good news here at Cedar Falls. Spring is here, and that means it's spawning season. I can't tell exactly which one this is, but it's either Johnny or June, spawning right here in one of these lily pots. And if you recall, that's the exact place they spawned last year, which even resulted in one of the smaller bass in this pond that we call Eve. But just like bass out in other ponds, they prefer a hard bottom, which there isn't a lack of in this pond because of all the rock. But I think these bass like that smaller gravel because they can move it around and form that nest. And it was really good to see that the smallmouth we call Smalley is no longer shy. We got a lot of aggressive feeding clips from him today. Now, while we're on the topic of good news, it's time to check in on the little eaglets. If you missed the last video, we found out that the bald eagles had built a nest probably 200 yards away from the pond, and when I get my long-range lens out we get to see a close-up look at the nest, but it's not so hard to tell that these two babies aren't that small. Probably a big part of it is the constant supply of fish that we're providing them out of the Crimson Oak Pond. But I had to do a little research because I was curious to see how long they would be here in the nest. But after the two eagles build the nest and the female lays the eggs, it takes about 35 days before they hatch, and eaglets will stay in the nest for about 10 to 13 weeks before they fledge, which is a term for when they take their first flight. And fledging is a process where they start out by just hopping around on branches in the trees and getting those wings ready to take their first flight. But the eagles feed their babies anywhere from 1 to 8 times a day, but around 3 to 4 weeks after the eagles hatch, the black feathers begin to form on their back, shoulder, and breast, and those are known as the flight feathers. And once an eaglet's 6 weeks old, they're able to stand up and walk around, and by 7 weeks old, they're almost at their maximum body growth. And I feel like we're already there around that 8 to 9 week mark. So I think they're going to be leaving the nest soon. Can't wait to see them flying around the pond. But another interesting fact is that once they've flown out of the nest, they'll continue using the nest for the next 4 or 5 weeks, taking short flights as they begin to strengthen. And at that point, that's when the juveniles have to learn how to hunt, which I'm pretty excited to see these two babies over here hunting at the pond. But just like all the other animals out here at the farm, I'm going to let you guys name them. So leave a comment down below on what you think we should name the two baby eaglets. And now that the eagles have their hands full taking care of the babies, the osprey was happy to take over the vacant eagle tower. And they're also fun to watch, but extremely lethal. As you can see here in this video, they've got incredible eyesight, and when they spot a fish in the water and dive down, they almost always come up with a fish. I can't really tell what species this is, but at this point, the osprey may be helping us out by removing some of those juvenile bass. But in our last video, a lot of you guys mentioned that we should add another predator to help control the juvenile bass population, like a crappie, catfish, pike, and muskie. There were a lot of suggestions, but the main reason we don't add any other predators is because they would compete with the bass for all the forage food. So not only would they eat the smaller bass, they would eat the threadfin shad, and we've already made that mistake once when we added the rainbow trout. Between them and the tiger bass, they pretty much decimated our threadfin populations. So we're going to stick with our management practices of removing them either by fishing or electrofishing. The eagle told the osprey that was enough feeding for one day, and he flew in here and ran him off. Alright, now it's time for an update on the ducks. So if you recall, we had 2 ducks named Echo and Romeo. Well, unfortunately, after some visitor ducks came through the pond a couple weeks ago, Echo ended up flying off with them, leaving Romeo all to himself. He's just been moping around the pond this past week, looking for a friend. And boy, was he excited when a new duck finally showed up. I'm not 100% sure what type of duck this is because it wouldn't ever land in the pond, but it's the smaller duck, and my guess would be something like a wood duck. And you can see Romeo following him around, probably trying to get him to land, but I don't think the wood duck feels quite comfortable enough yet, and it looks like he's even going to draw him away from the pond. So hopefully Romeo will come back, but if not, maybe we'll see you guys next year. Alright, back out here the next morning, we got all the bass that we're removing in the baskets. I put a pump over here in the shallow water area, so as the subscribers pull up, we can fill up their holding tanks with pond water. And we got the first guys pulling up to get some of the bass. We ended up moving the pump over here to the dock so we could get a little bit cleaner water. But we got his tanks filled up, aerators going, got him loaded up with some Crimson Oak bass. So he had a couple coolers, a couple different aerators, hooked up to a battery, which is a perfect setup. And I even received a couple videos of the guys releasing the healthy bass into their ponds. So I hated we had to get rid of them, but it makes me happy seeing they got a good new home. Alright, now that spring is here, it is time to start looking at the water clarity and potentially beginning our fertilization program. So we always start out here with a Secchi disc. You lower it down into the water until you can no longer differentiate the black from white. And right now we're at about 25 inches. You want to keep the water clarity in that 18 to 24 inch range. And the one other test you need to do before fertilizing your pond is do an alkalinity test to see if you have at least 20 parts per million. And today I'm just using a small test kit, and it's a very simple process. You start out with this alkalinity titration. You drop one of these tablets into about 5 milliliters of pond water. You stir it up until you have that natural looking blue color, and then you fill up the syringe with that alkalinity titration, and you slowly drip it down into the pond water solution. And it's simple. The one thing you're looking for is that water to turn from blue to purple to red. And whenever that water turns purple, you want to look at the parts per million on your syringe. And today we're at about 30 parts per million, which is good. Anything above 20 parts per million, you can add the fertilizer and get the bloom. So we're adding the fertilizer today. And what I like to do is add it to the deeper water in the pond. So I'll start here, make my way down to the pond dam, go across, and come back in a triangle, and keep it out of those shallow water areas where you're more likely to get the algae blooms. But I came back a couple days later, tested the water again. We're already down to 23 inches, which is a good sign. But sometimes it can take up to 2 weeks to get that first bloom. Alright, now it's time for an update on the shop build. If you missed the last video, we came in and spray foamed the entire building. I think all that turned out great. We painted everything white afterwards. So now the next step is adding the sheetrock. And I'll just have to say, I'm pretty impressed with the sheetrock delivery crew. They've thought about all the problems and came up with a good solution with this boom truck. He asked me where I wanted to put it, and I told him to set it right there on the ground. We'd get it moved in there. And he's like, don't worry, buddy, I can set it right in there in your shop. And he was not lying. After he got everything leveled out, he was able to extend that boom all the way into the shop and even spin it around in the right orientation. Now that's a good delivery service. Alright, the guys got the sheetrock installed. Here's a good look at everything. They've also got everything sanded down. You can see all of our outlets, lights. Here's a good look at the closet. They boxed everything in around the air handler. Tore through the bathroom. So next up, painting, then trim work. Alright, now we're going to head over here to the bluegill feeder and watch some of this chaos after the feeders go off. So the bluegills are eating the pellets, and the bass are eating the bluegills. And you'll see some of them get knocked up in the air. But as we were doing the survey, there were several bass that had a bluegill tail sticking out of its throat. And like I mentioned, that's why it's important to have an abundance of bluegills, which will keep those bass fed when all the other bait fish aren't in the pond. But I truly was surprised at how many bluegills we had. And I'm pretty sure that every one of the big bass we netted came from within like 20 to 30 feet of a feeder. That big unnamed bass was sitting directly under the dock feeder, and the majority of the other ones came from the feeder over at Cedar Falls. But this is something we've seen a lot more of this year, because in the first couple years, we would watch the bass and bluegills pretty much hang out together around the green light at night. But as the bass got bigger, so did their appetites, and I don't think they're friends any longer. But it's not so good to be a bluegill these days, because not only are the bass after them, but they've also got to watch out for the aerial attack with the eagles. They're out here every day also when the feeders go off. I'm pretty sure they've got it timed. Now let's check in on some wildlife with the swamp cameras. And folks, I was pretty worried when I first saw this clip, because otters can be one of the worst enemies of a bass pond. But the more I looked at this big guy, I'm pretty sure he's a beaver. First one we've ever seen out here on the property. And some daytime footage of the raccoon on a mission. And we got Peter Cottontail hopping down the bunny trail. And the rut is finally over. We're still seeing some random bucks come through. Hadn't ever seen this big 4-point before, but I'm sure they'll get back into their normal patterns here soon. Raccoon's mission is complete. Headed back home. Hey, and look, there's one of the baby fawns growing up out here eating some ferns in the swamp. And some more daytime raccoon footage. I think he's checking out the camera. Hey, George Jones, the possum. And this is our floppy-eared deer. Every time we've ever caught it on camera, not just one, but both ears flopped back. Another deer struggling to make it through the swamp. And I think I found what the mission was for the raccoons. Headed up to feed at the pond. Alright, just got another delivery of some shiners. We got the big boys. These are called brooders. A lot fewer per sack, but it's what the bass like. So we're going to go out there on the dock this afternoon and do some feeding. Alright, we got the sun setting out here on the dock. It's my favorite time to feed the bass. Got a bucket full of shiners. Now the next thing we have to talk about are the goals for the pond and how many fish to remove. So as I've previously mentioned, the amount of bass that you need to take out of your pond is determined by what type of pond you want to have. So if you want to have a numbers pond so that when you and your friends and family come out, you always catch a lot of fish, you can take out anywhere from 10 to 15 pounds per acre. But if you want to have a trophy pond where you're growing more of those really big female bass that make it all the way up to 10 and 12 pounds, you need to have a more aggressive approach and remove 20 to 25 pounds. So up until this point, the Crimson Oak Pond has been exactly how I wanted it. Each time we come out fishing, we catch plenty of fish, and as you can see, we're growing some really big ones. So I prefer to keep it that way, but that's a fine line. So right now we're going to attempt to keep between 15 and 20 pounds per acre each year, and we're going to selectively do that by keeping those bass that are below 12 inches or the second and third generation male bass, because it could be difficult to remove 20 pounds per acre with just the juveniles. That's why we took out some of those males. But the key here is that the electrofishing survey really does paint the whole picture. And you can see exactly what your pond looks like, and if we follow the steps that these biologists give us, we should continue seeing those good results over the next few years. And one last thing to point out is by removing some of the bass during this survey, we're not harming all of our aggressive fish. Because some of these fish I've only caught once or didn't catch at all in the past 3 years, so they're not very aggressive when it comes to artificial baits. So here's something pretty interesting. I was flying the drone around because I wanted to take a closer look at that brown plankton bloom, and I came across one of those big bass. If you look really closely, it almost looks like it's glowing a little bit, but there's one particular fish right in the center of the screen that's about 5 or 6 times bigger than those bluegills, and it looks like it was coming up into the shallow area to eat, or potentially even look for a nesting site. Well, what the big bass didn't know is that there was already a nesting fish right there on that circle, and watch what happens when the big bass gets a little too close to the other fish's nest. Man, talk about aggression. But we are starting to see some more spawning action. You can see we got a spawning bass right here building a bed right at the base of these trees. Now let's check in on the squirrel house. Between Gus Gus, the mouse, and the squirrel, they have pretty much wrecked the house. I think I'm going to have to get in there and clean it up for them. I think they even moved the furniture over in the corner and tried to start building a nest around it. He says I'm out of here. But we even had a little birdie stop by and check it out. But I don't think this one's going to be turning into a birdhouse anytime soon. Now let's check in on the cameras down at the half acre. Mr. Buck Deer coming in and running the raccoons off. We got a big group of those out, which always leads to fighting. No, the bucks and raccoon hear another animal coming up. So if you look at this scene, it looks like one happy family of raccoons. And notice that there's 3 of them. Well, they're not too happy when an intruder comes by. And my best guess is that the mama raccoon did not like the other raccoon coming near her babies. So we got to see a little scuffle. I love seeing this clip. Although this guy's holding that stance for a lot longer than most of them do. But that's typically what happens when they run out of food and they're trying to tell me to send more food. But everybody seems to get along a little better when the bucks are around. And it is interesting to see the does and bucks hanging out again. Now it's official, the rut is over. And there's that old sly fox. Alright folks, if you made it this far in the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button to follow along.
Everyone knows the Iron Men are notoriously difficult to make early game gold on, and ironically, it's one of the resources needed the most, which is why I have constructed a little plan to slingshot my early game progression, but at the cost of potentially many attempts. Hard checks is now in existence. It's time to blast through Tutorial Island and make this account into a hardcore. Apparently they've made it so it's actually impossible to burn the shrimp. I don't remember voting for that. I feel like burning your shrimp in Tutorial Island is it's like an integral induction into the game. It sets you up for the realities of life. A baptism in fire. Quite literally. It's kind of funny actually. It makes perfect sense, because imagine being a first-time player to this game. You burn the shrimp, you question what you did wrong, you log out, you never play again. I don't think those people deserve to play the game. It's been that long since I did this last. Like, you hit every single hit. You cannot hit zeros anymore on melee and ranged. They have made Tutorial Island as dumb as it possibly can be, probably because they were losing players in Tutorial Island. Today's video is sponsored by yours truly. If you're in the market for a new mouse mat, then look no further. And with all of the designs, we believe it's the small details that make things special, which is why this new design is bursting with life with the key focus on the small things. And if the cozy vibe isn't quite your thing, fear not, because there are plenty other designs that I have up available on my merch store for purchase that have the same level of obsessive detail. So if you're in the market for a new large mouse mat, coffee mug, hat, or even clothing, link is down in the description where all purchases directly support me, and use code RIXY at checkout for free worldwide shipping. Give me my red armor. There it is. Beautiful. We are heading straight over to Draenor, and we need to sort out my F keys because this is so scuffed. 20 agility, very nice. The first part of the plan is finished. We're going to buy some wines, we're going to buy some cheese, and we are going to head over to the Stronghold of Scurry and get our 10,000 coins. Usually, I would be getting myself a fire staff, but because Jagex have done loads of combat changes recently, it's really interesting the way that magic works now, which basically means that my wind strike is going to hit the same as fire strike in the early levels. Access to Valamor, the Children of the Suns, very good. And now we're going to head over to Valamor and pick up a couple goodies. Oh, it's crazy being here. Do you know what? This is not even a shout out or a plug right now, but seeing everything here in person now and then actually looking at my mouse mat that I made, oh my god, let's run away. Damn, we did a good job. The reason that we are here is we are actually heading to the pub. This little potion here called the Sunbeam L. This little beauty gives you a +1 agility boost. And I'm also going to buy some wines of Zamarok while I'm here as well. I'm trolling. I don't even need to hop. Oh, dude, I do not play Iron Man, as you can tell. Oh my god. They've changed everything so you can just buy an endless amount of it, I guess. Is this the same in all shops, or is this just a Valamor thing? I feel like I'm a new player right now, trying to get my head around everything. Where is the home teleport? Am I missing something here? I don't understand. Why is it not on here? Do I need to, like, log out and back in or something? Have I broken this? Giant's Foundry? Huge. This account's just, like, cursed, man. Can't home tele, can't get the gloves. What is... I'm hopping. Right, I'm gonna have to go to Edgeville.
I just think you're really unlucky, dude. It says the drops on this, from 750 searches, the leather gloves are 1 in 26. And the boots are 1 in 10.
So the boots are mega common. Oh my god, the first search.
No
What is going on?
You probably actually picked like 100 of those.
That is 24 hit points. The Witch's House is completed. And we are level 10 combat. That is the final quest I will be doing on this account if it makes its way through the process. It may be doing some more, but for now, it will be 2, and hopefully this account is gonna be a liver. We have to get level 50 agility, and currently we are heading to the Brimhaven agility course, and we're gonna be doing a method, which is possibly a little bit controversial. I don't really know what Jagex's stance on this is exactly, but there seems to be a group of players in the game that are absolutely determined to make skills into like AFK, one-click kind of AFK skills, like the shooting mines. People have basically figured out that there's a very, very good method for getting agility XP inside of this course, which is a one-click method. I'm going to see if I can find one that works, because apparently these have been getting shadow patched by Jagex. So yeah, we're going to see if this works. And if it does, I mean, it could literally save me like 5 hours of time.
That's it. Just gonna do that for 3 hours.
To jump over this obstacle, the only requirement is 20 agility. And doing this for an hour straight can give you over 35,000 XP per hour, which to be fair, you can probably get more, but I stopped to level 50. And the best part, if you use the detached camera plugin on RuneLight, you can literally make this a one-click training method, which you could say combined with a gamer foot pedal, meaning that you can just tap away with your toes and gain a ton of XP completely AFK.
Oh my god.
this beautiful human being.
If you're wondering why this is a slightly questionable method, it's because Jagex have actively been going in here and patching the other obstacles in this course, making it so that after so many crossings, you stop getting XP, but seemingly forgot about this one. Please don't ban me. Making this method the fastest way to get from level 20 to 50 agility in less than 3 hours. And you may at this point be asking yourself, why does this matter? What does this have to do with making money? Well, boys, let me show you. After 3 hours of brain dead clicking, we should be 50 agility. We then head to the money pyramid. And no, this is not the money maker, but it is a necessary step in the plan. After completing 15 laps, I should have 150,000 coins, which then leads us into the final phase, the Wilderness Agility course. Now, back in April 2024, this place had a major overhaul with the introduction of the dispenser, which gives you an agility ticket on every completed lap, which can be redeemed for bonus agility XP, and it has an opt-in system where if you deposit 150,000 coins, you'll then receive bonus loot upon every lap completion. And once you hit the highest tier of loot at 61 consecutive laps, you receive on average 37,000 coins per lap every 45 seconds, which means that I can make up to 3 million gold per hour. But this does come with a few catches, such as the course being situated in the deepest part of the wilderness, where accounts up to level 66 can attack me. And bear in mind, I only have 24 HP. There is a very likely chance that I will die. So streamlining the most efficient route possible to get there in the shortest amount of time is absolutely crucial to being able to brute force this. And if you like the sound of this plan, give the video a like. It helps a ton. 30 agility. I could easily get 30,000 XP per hour here, so, you know, I need to get to level 50. I think Varrock is going to give me, like, maybe 18,000 XP per hour. So this is almost double the XP and a fraction of the effort. I've managed to get the home teleport back. I don't know how I've managed to do this, but apparently I must have clicked here and clicked hide. I don't know how I did, and then went back to disable, and then it just disappears. Home telly has been unlocked. At the moment we are 30 agility. I'm gonna buy myself some COD, and I think this is the man to sell me. There they are. This is what I'm limited to buying because cash is going to be very tight and we need to make sure that we don't go over budget. 50 agility. We have the level that we need for this now. That really wasn't bad at all, to be honest. I can definitely get this time down on future accounts. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets patched in the future because 35k XP per hour with doing literally nothing does seem a little bit broken. But to counteract that, I mean, it's not like you're getting graceful marks or anything. It is just pure XP. What do you think, guys? Do you think this should just be allowed? Pro tip, because I've done this so many times, before you attempt to go at the pyramid, make sure you speak to Simon here, or otherwise you're going to have a problem. Something that I haven't taken into consideration here is just how many times I was going to fall, because 15 laps was supposed to be the exact amount I need to do, and it was going to get me bang on 51, but because I've been failing so much, we're a little bit premature, but it's not a problem. We are done, and we are now on to the final phase. Oh god, please don't work. No, it works! No! Oh, that's not good. I'm gonna be attacked here. This is obviously like one of the scariest places, so I need to have an account here attacking. The trouble is when I go through the tunnel, I can't log out while I'm in the tunnel, and it's like so bad.
Oh yeah, you're not logging out, ever.
And there's no way to lose aggro against these skellies. Because hard checks is level 10. It means that I need to have an account low enough combat level and also with the agility level to go inside of the wilderness course. And if anybody logs in that can attack the account, I'm just immediately going to attack them and I'm gonna log the hardcore out. That's the situation. I think we are ready to go. I'm also gonna take a bronze dagger just so I can break the web myself. This is how the account is looking right now. We've played 8 hours and 12 minutes to get to this point. I reckon I can easily shave like an hour or two off of this if I were to just refine the method that I've used. It can all be taken away with one click. So, let's do this. And the web is actually cut on this world. That is not nice. I'm so anxious right now. This is nerve-wracking. Pay the 150k, don't ask again. Get in there. One of the nice things about this, I believe these skeletons are only able to hit once, so they're actually not going to be as big a nuisance as maybe you'd think. 4 blighted and a still plate body. Okay, that is the very first lap that we have done. Wilderness player alarm is set up correctly. If anybody logs in now that's not added, it should flash like this. I'm not going to lie, guys, it's actually terrifying. I can be attacked by level 66s. Level 30s have dark bows. That skeleton has gone all the way there, by the way. Oh, he's level 124. Oh my days. Okay, logged out. I haven't had a looting bag yet, so hopefully I get one of those soon. I'm sat here saying I don't have a looting bag, and there's one staring at me at the top of my inventory. Dude, my brain is so fucked right now because I'm just worried about dying. Look at the loot that I have in my inventory right now. It's so good. 2 rune med helms. This is the low tier loot as well, the lowest tier you can get because we've only done 6 streaks so far. But this is slowly going to amp up over time. For the love of God, please do not kill this account. I beg you, do not misclick. CG, I swear to God, man, if you kill me on your account, bro. Caution. You see red, you click, but I'm worried, like, imagine if the red guy logs in underneath me, and then he misclicks me. My brain's there right now. I've never felt so important in all of my life. I've got 3 accounts here right now just guarding me. 2 blighted super restores. This is really just an added bonus. All of this food, although it can only be used inside of the wildy and PvP worlds, I do have plans down the line where this stuff is seriously gonna come in handy. Oh, it did work. The steel plate body that I just got from that lap went straight into my looting bag because it's open. I haven't been to this agility course since its day 1 release. I'm pretty sure it didn't used to do that. That makes this just super AFK. This is lap number 12, which means this is going to be the first lap where we are going to have a slightly bigger increase in the loot that we receive. Adamant plate legs, 2 blighted super restores. The loot is slowly creeping up and becoming more and more valuable. There's a 124 that just logged in. One sec. I'm just going to run over to the side and see if he goes. Oh, if I log out, it resets my thing. Hopefully he just doesn't look me up. I really wish you'd change that name on that account, man. It's so obvious it's me. I was hoping that if somebody looks me up, like, nothing's going to come up, but I'm actually on the hardcore page. God damn it. This is just me not being used to playing hardcore Iron Man. Maybe I'm just, like, way too trusting or not so cautious. He could have looked me up. I'd be like, right, I'm gonna go get my level 60 pure and just come here and flames Azami this guy. Oh, the skeleton down here hit me a 2. Ooh. I just got hit a 4 by one of those skeletons. They're level 25s. They're different from these level 18s. I just got a rune kite shield. That has to be like super, super rare. I've got a rune kite shield and a rune chain body. 300k inside the looting bag. And that's on streak 29. We are officially in the 3rd of 4 brackets for GP. Of all of the food, the anglerfish are actually the worst for me right now. They're healing 4s because my hit points are so low and it scales off of your hit points level. So ideally, we don't want to be getting the anglerfish. Ooh, that's so good. 5 blighted super restorers and a rune chain body in 1 chest. I'm not an Iron Man player, but even I understand prayer potions are not easy to come by early on these accounts. I have got a looting bag filled with blighted restores right now, which do function as prayer potions in the wildy and in PvP worlds. That's kind of huge. I've just hit 61 laps and somebody's just logged in. If I log out, I lose 10 laps. So it's going to put me back to 51. I think I'm just going to send it. It's fine. This guy's not going to pay any attention to the account that says hard in the name. I'm sure we're perfectly safe. We are now officially into the highest bracket of loot that we can get. In the last lap, we managed to get 8 blighted restores, 1 Brumed Helm. That is actually insane. And in the one we just did, we got 7 and adamant plate legs. That is so huge. Now we only have a few hundred laps to go. 1.15 mil inside of the looting bag. Pretty substantial, but we are not done yet. We are like a 10th of the way, if not less, than where we need to be. If we do come across like a level 60 that's here trying to kill people and they notice me, and at that point I would happily log out for the night. I feel like as soon as they see the level 10, they're gonna be like, all right, I want to kill that account. There's a target on my head. I'm really happy with the progress that we're making right now. We haven't seen any low level PKers yet, but I'm sure there are some that do check here. We have 72 reward streak right now, so if we log out, we're just going to be put back onto 62, which will mean obviously that I'm still receiving the highest tier of loot. There's level 121 called Learn to PK in the Pirate Hut. There's a level fucking 84 and a 52. There's level 89 here. I don't like this at all. Right. I'm tagging the dispenser because I'm in a bad spot, and this might be a logout. There are too many accounts that have just appeared. What is going on here? Is it a bot farm?
Go to the logout spot.
I'm just logging out. I have to.
Oh,
There's too much shit going on right now. There's like 5 accounts here.
If you kill him, see if you get 150k. If you don't get 150k, it's definitely not an agility runner.
So you don't get the 150k,
No.
even if they have it.
Don't.
No, you don't get it. It just gets lost. This guy over here is called Rule Toss Salad. So I think that might have been a little bot farm, maybe. A guy come up the ladder that was wearing a bear helmet.
Yeah,
I've-
122. I was tagging him.
Because he was wearing the bear hat, I thought it was like a low-level pure. I freaked out. I thought I was dead. And he was at the ladder as well. Like, he logged in here. So because I've logged out now, I should be reset about 10 laps. Agility reward streak is 80, and the amount of laps I've done in total is 91. So it set me back 10, but I'm still well in the clear and getting all of the best loot. Not gonna lie, dude, this shit is making me tired.
Bro, you're just running in circles all day. You're counting skeleton heads instead of sheep right now.
101 wilderness agility tickets. At 101, you get the maximum amount of XP when you redeem. And I am going to be doing it now instead of doing it at the very end, just because I feel like every level right now is going to help me. I may as well do it now so that we fall less, get more laps per hour, and have to spend less time here. Oh my god, bro. Fucking count check literally made my heart drop. 5 million GP inside of the looting bag. That is disgusting. If I died right now, I would lose 11 hours of progress. That's a pretty bad setback, I won't lie. We logged out yesterday with just over 5 mil inside of the looting bag. Things are pretty quiet right now at the Wilderness Agility course. There's a few low levels that have said they've been attacked in the last couple hours, but nothing recently. We're going to log in. We're going to send this. Hopefully, we can be done in about 3 hours. Definitely did more than 3 hours yesterday, so we need to do less than yesterday, and I'm just praying that it is very quiet today. Not logged out. Dude, I just logged out again, so I just lost some streaks. I'm trolling. I really don't enjoy this. I don't want to die. I feel worse today, but it's more just to do with the fact that we're like so close to being done with this. Like the pressure is mounting. Another 101 tickets, and we are going to redeem that for the easy 60 agility. We're probably going to be like 65 maybe by the time we're finished with this. I'm not actually too sure, so we're going to have to find out.
109 PK.
Wait, there's one, sorry?
Level
PK.
109 PK.
Alright, I'm just going to hang down here.
PK 103. Trying to smite your ass.
He's just gonna continue running the lab.
Oh my god, that's level 42. I'm actually dead. I'm actually dead. I'm out. I'm fucking out. I'm out.
Quick.
I logged. I got out, bro. What the fuck? Dude, I did him on the ladder. Oh my god. Alright, that's it. We can't do any more tonight. Fuck. Bro, my heart is pounding right now. You've no idea. Holy shit. This is dreadful, dude. We're not going to be able to do any more of this for the next couple hours. There's just no way. It's way too risky. So that guy was 67 magic. So that means that he must have been using Water Wave. Oh my god, there's loads of people logging in now. I'm going to let this guy run all the way up here, just to waste his time. Apparently the max hit with Water Wave is an 18. I've got 25 health. Technically, we didn't get chanced. And he didn't have a Tome of Water or anything like that. He was just rocking the monk robes. I think his max hit was an 18. So, although it was very easy to die there, we didn't get chanced. And that's a good thing. I think the scariest thing about that is that he couldn't one-shot me, but the only way that I can escape is literally how I escaped. Because if I go down the gate and I leave, that means he
You can
stacks
get
2
stacked
spells. If I cross any of the obstacles, he gets to stack 2 spells. So literally the only way that I could escape there was by going down the ladder. All right, I'm gonna log in. Dude, this is... I need to look in the looting bag.
I told you. if you
Whoa,
want
they
to-
aggroed the low level. Whoa, that's wild.
Yo, I need to log back out
Get it.
immediately.
Get out of here.
We're done for tonight, boys. We be done. Thinking if we just sit here for 15 minutes, if nobody logs in, like if I can do 1 more hour, should we just do that? Let's just wait here 15 minutes. It's been like an hour since all that happened. Back when I was a degenerate PKer, if this happened to me, I would literally be hopping until the early hours of the morning trying to get that person, because I'd probably think in my head, I'd be like, that guy's not logging back in tonight. But on the off chance they do, level 96 just logged in.
These guys ain't logging in. Huh? Oh,
Level 70.
he's definitely just doing a Jody though, yeah.
Unless this is like some fucking like giga brain set up by these guys, and they're like, let's send in the bot account. Let's see if they're still there. Oh, I'm paranoid as fuck.
I think we're good, Tom.
Don't listen, mate. You need to calm down and just give it a minute. We'll give it a few more minutes, okay? Because if
Anything to lose?
dude.
What do you mean? I put in.
look, I ain't logging
Yeah,
it.
this
This.
guy's familiar.
Yeah, dude, this is the fucking guy that was with the guys. You just said it looks good. Looks good, bro. Yeah,
You were very
it
well
looks
taken. You were like,
real
okay.
good right now, man.
No way that happened right away.
There's a whole fucking squad of them.
This guy ain't-
Mate, we are so done tonight. That's it. There's no way we're continuing tonight. We just can't. Right, I'm logging in.
Bro, I clicked on your account there for a second.
Stop, dude. Like, my heart, man. I'm 30. Fucking
Yeah, see,
stop it,
like, it's
dude.
not- it's not
Please.
funny.
There's a level 126 coming up. Me don't like. I'm just way more paranoid now. Previously, when accounts were logging in, if they couldn't attack me, I wouldn't worry. But I think it's because that was just a coordinated attack. It's like spooked me.
Yeah.
This is going to be the last time we do the big redeem. There definitely won't be a next, I do not think. Ticket 101, 23,060 free agility. It is done. We are not going to do any more. That is plenty enough. The wilderness agility course ends here. It's over. I have no interest in staying in this place for a second longer. No, thank you. 10 million GP inside of the looting bag. Oh my god. God, it feels so good to be inside here. Oh my god, look at the bank value, 10.1 mil. We now have a 10 mil bank, 60 free agility, and a total of 13 hours played. I genuinely didn't think that we were going to do it on the first attempt, and I have the feeling that people that try to do this method after the uploading of this video may have a tough time. I'm sorry about that. Well, I guess we're a hardcore Iron Man now.
On Drop Rate is a series where I can only receive an item within its wiki stated rate, but with a twist. If I receive the item before or on its rate, I get to keep everything earned during the episode, including the desired item. However, if I do not end up getting it, I have to forfeit all the loot earned to you guys, the viewers. Let's introduce today's challenge. In today's episode, we are taking on Eldrick the Ice Giant and Branda the Fire Queen, also known as the Royal Titans. And because it's another 10th episode, we are here for the pets. The drop rate of the pet can either be 1 in 3,000 or 1 in 1,500. However, achieving the 1 in 1.5k requires you to sacrifice your loot for a better chance of obtaining the pet. As this is on drop rate where we risk loot on lost challenges, we are not going to be using this feature, meaning we are defeating the Royal Titans up to 3,000 times. The Titans are most efficiently defeated as a duo, allowing you to deal with one Titan each, making it a lot faster. And on completion of the boss, you still have the same drop chance for the pets. However, finding people to consistently run up to 3,000 kills with is going to be an issue. So most likely, most of the kills in this video is going to be done solo, but if there are duos available, I will give them a go. The gear we're going to be using for this grind is definitely a bit overkill, but because we could be spending over 100 hours here, I am bringing any gear upgrade that could shave off time and make this as quick as possible. So this is what the collection log looks like for the Royal Titans. There are 7 overall items, with the pet being of course the most rare item, and the second most rare items are only 1 in 75. So hopefully during this video, if we do end up getting the pet, we should also be green logging this boss. But let's begin by going over the basics of the Royal Titans encounter. First off, keep protect from melee on at all times during the fight. During the encounter, both of the Titans will rotate between being close to you and walking away. When they're close to you, use melee, and when they're further away, swap to ranged. Over the course of the encounter, the bosses will spawn ice and fire lines blocking off your path. These can be removed by using the opposite elemental spell, which is why I'm using the Twin Flame Staff that adapts an attack with whatever spell is needed. You can also use these lines to instantly kill minions that spawn during the fight. For example, if a fire minion is placed on an ice line as it activates, they will die instantly. If the minions are not dealt with, they will eventually explode on you for minor damage. When at least one of the Titans reach around 30% HP, the final phase will begin. During this phase, they will spawn minion more often, but along with that, there is only one mechanic you will have to deal with, the Elemental Blast. A small rotating circle will appear somewhere on the arena with a timer over it. Stand in the circle before the timer runs out and wait out 3 blasts. If you do not make it and you stand outside of it, you'll take roughly 30 damage per hit. And that's it. Congratulations, you can now kill the Royal Titans. Nice to see that the loot tracker actually works, but let's just go ahead and see what the first loot of the grind is going to be. Okay, some Chaos Runes and Death Runes, nothing crazy. On the drop table of the Royal Titans, there is a necklace that lets you teleport right to them, but until then I have to use the Crafting Guild teleport and do quite a run. So if we look here, you have to go all the way into this dungeon here, run through a bit here to the ice area, and there we go. But you can see the Giant Soul Amulet is what we're looking for to instantly teleport to the boss. Oh no! It's stuck on the other side! I guess I'll just have to tank. I don't have time to destroy the wall there. That's why you need to preemptively destroy this wall, so you don't get stuck on the other side and have to tank a lot of damage. I improved so much on this second kill. This should be vastly faster. Let's have a look at the time. 1 minute faster than the last kill. Okay, so 2 minute kills is actually not that bad. And for the second loot, some money and some runes again. Oh wow, 2 rune scimitars and 8 grimy dwarf weeds. That's like 50k loot from this boss. That's actually really good. The loot is better than I expected. I don't know if there's really any reason to do this, but I added a loot tracker for both of the bosses. It's going to say 4 if I've killed 4 overall, so it's not like I've killed 8 bosses right now. Just in case, I don't know, I felt like it was cool. Yo, we have the first unique desiccated pages. I think that's how you say it at least. These can be turned into any of the pages for the different tomes, I think, like Tome of Fire, Tome of Earth and all that. Now, to turn these into actual usable pages, you have to reinvigorate them at different places in the game, and we're going for soaked pages because they're the most valuable right now at Temporos, and that is at 300 runecrafting experience as well. Wait, 50 per page? That's actually kind of a lot, and 16k value as well. During the fight, you basically take no damage at all except from the minions. Because there's so many of them spawning, and spending time trying to kill them is not really worth it as far as I know. Maybe if you're a lower level account, but at my level I can actually blast through the boss pretty quickly. But goddamn, you do take a lot of chip damage from these. If you could deal with them very easily, it would save a lot of food and probably longer trips as well. Oh yeah, there we go, the Giant Soul Amulet on only 6kc. As far as I know, it is pretty early since these bosses were released, but I think they're 1 in 16 drop rate. So we actually got kind of lucky on this, and of course, this is the teleport necklace to the bosses. Weirdly enough, you charge this by using Big Bones and La Runes. I guess it kind of makes sense because you use this necklace to teleport to a bunch of giants. But look at this, you can teleport to Bryothyta, Obor, and Brandon Eldrick. So this is actually really useful, but I'm going to be using it first off to teleport, of course, to Branda and Eldrick. And it's right outside of the room. That literally saves like a minute plus, maybe even 2 minutes of running every single kill. The run to Bryophyta and Obor is kind of annoying as well, and I assume you're teleporting right outside of these as well. Yeah, you do. So really useful necklace if you want to greenlog Bryophyta or Obor on your account. I don't know why you want to do that, but I'm sure there's people out there. Oh my god, 21 pages in one drop? That has to be close to the max amount you can get. That's like 1,000 runecrafting experience now that I think about it. You know what? Until the end of the grind, I'm going to be stacking these up for a massive runecrafting experience drop at the end. Now, the worst thing about doing grinds in RuneScape is when you have to stand up, leave your PC, and cook food. I've actually heard it's the biggest cause of XP loss in this entire game. And that is why today's video is sponsored by HelloFresh. HelloFresh delivers fresh, pre-portioned ingredients straight to your doorstep, along with recipes on how to quickly and easily cook your food. They also have a menu of over 50 dinner options, so no more eating chili con carne every single day for the entire week. Yeah, I know what you're doing, Philip. I believe a good breakfast is the most important meal of the day to get you started, and HelloFresh agrees, which is why they offer free breakfast for life to each and every one of their subscribers, meaning a completely free breakfast item with every HelloFresh delivery. For us people who sit inside the lot and end up ordering unhealthy takeout for insanely high prices, HelloFresh is perfect for avoiding that. The food from HelloFresh is healthy, easy to make, and instead of eating pizza every single day, you get a vast variety to choose from. They also offer a great amount of customization, so if you're vegetarian, vegan, or want just a high protein diet, or even if you want to just straight up skip a day or two, HelloFresh has got you covered. So click my link in the description and use my code ALONEMAR10 to get 10 free meals plus free breakfast for life, meaning one breakfast item per box while subscription is active if you're in the US. The link and code are valid in all countries, and the respective local discounts will apply. Thank you so much to HelloFresh for sponsoring this video. No shot. No way that just happened. What? 17 KC. That has to be the most lucky I've ever been on a grind and on drop rate ever. 17 out of 3,000. What do I do now? I mean, don't get me wrong, this pet is awesome and I'm really happy to have it, and it can even metamorphosize, so let's go ahead and teleport out and give this a go and see how this actually works, this pet, and have more of a closer look at it. Wait, where is my pet? Is it gone? Okay, after relogging, it's following me again, but let's go ahead and try out the metamorphosize. And there he is. Eldrick the Ice King is now my pet also. It's super cool with these pets that can metamorphosize, honestly. And this one overall is really awesome. I like both of the forms. So might be a new favorite boss pet. But I guess there isn't much else to do now except just put the pet into the menagerie so it can enjoy my house along with all my other pets. So you might be wondering, what are we doing now? We've completed the on-drop rate challenge, I won it at 17 KC. Well, I think it's time to actually use this opportunity to finish the entire log, because the rest of the items are all pretty common as I alluded to earlier. So let's spend the rest of the video completely green logging the Royal Titans. After the last clip, I actually had to take some time off to plan my trip to RuneFest, but as I log in today, the combat achievements for the Royal Titans are officially out. So along with all the collection log stuff, we are going to be completing hopefully every single combat achievement on this log. Looked through a bunch of the easy ones and did 3 of them in my first KC back pretty much. All of these are very, very simple ones. Oh, and for loot, we get another Giant Soul Amulet, which actually isn't fully useless. It's not great, but you can actually turn these in for some big bones at the Old Man, which of course we'll do at the end. So there's a combat achievement that seems pretty difficult actually, where you have to kill both of the Titans at the same time as you're standing in this circle right here. So let's see, before it activates... Wait, is that not it? I thought I would get it. I guess I did it wrong. Okay, let's give it another go. Started, and as soon as it activates, attack and declawspec this. I think that's it. Royal Titan Adept. That is the wrong achievement. That's for like 25 KC. Why did I not get the other one? Am I doing it wrong? I felt like I killed them while the circle was up. Oh! Yes! Okay, let's go. We have another one of the unique items. Fire Element Staff Crown. This is one of the pieces for the Twin Flame Staff. And it's actually worth quite a lot of money. I think it's going for roughly 5.7 million on the GE tracker, so let's see if it actually sells. Instantly sells. Okay, let's see. Okay, 5.7 pretty much. And apparently I'm an idiot. I thought you needed to kill them while it's activated. It's actually before it activates. That's quite a lot easier to do. There we go. it takes too long. You know how I mentioned that the minions is most of the damage, if not all the damage you take here? Well, I realized you can actually one-shot them by using elemental spells of the opposite kind, and it hits all of them at once. They hold stack. Now the problem is, I have very bad magic accuracy in my Torva gear, so I might have to try to bring 2 magic items or just anything like that to increase my accuracy, and I might be able to just clear the minions every time and basically take no damage. Alright, so we're trying to bring Aram's row bottom and top, should be good enough to get some accuracy, and we also have a saturated heart boost going, so let's see if this is enough to pretty consistently always one-tap the minions. Now, even though this might work, I don't know if it's actually worth it, because I do spend a lot of ticks then just attacking minions, and it might be better because of banking being so fast to just take the damage, get more food, and come back quickly. But let's try it out. And that should be all of them. And the second one, did I kill all of them? Okay, I missed one of them. But yeah, that is a very easy way of avoiding all the damage here. If you're a lower level player, you might want to do this every time to make sure you actually secure the kills. But even if it might not be faster to do this for me, it is a good way to get the perfect Royal Titans achievement, taking no damage from basically anything. So yeah, that also proves that this is a very good method to dodge all the damage during this fight. You know, I think I've realized that for some of these combat achievements, I will need a duo partner. 130 is extremely difficult even with max gear. And doing 15 kills in one trip is honestly kind of crazy for a mid-level boss. I'm doing like 3 to 5 kill trips right now. I'm very bad at prayer flicking, and there's a combat achievement to do the entire encounter without losing a single prayer point, so I just tried to do it without using prayer, and that ended up being absolutely impossible. I was getting shredded. So for this one, I think I'm going to be doing a duo, because if you're killing the boss very quickly and the damage is more evenly split between you, it should be doable. Okay, 149, that is a personal best. I'm trying to get the 130 solo, but shaving off 19 seconds on my personal best now, it seems kind of impossible, because that was a really, really fast kill. First, hard clue scroll coming in. These are 1 in 25, so actually kind of unlucky on that one. But I've been so lucky so far, so I'm not gonna complain. Yo, it's so close. 139 solo is honestly kind of a beast kill time. You know, with the on drop rate challenge being done and all, I do want to try this take pages option. It's not going to show as loot on the loot tracker, unfortunately, but this is a force way, 100% sure way of getting pages. And I got 13 this time and a hard clue scroll apparently. I didn't know you could get that. But that right there is like guaranteed runecrafting experience. And finally, we actually found a duo partner to do a bunch of the combat achievements and very fast kills with. It ended up being Krebus, another content creator. His channel will be linked below, but let's get into the kills. Oh, and the kill trackers will unfortunately be a bit off when we do this, because in this case, I'm not killing both of them myself, only killing Branda, for example, so Eldrick did not get a KC. But I'll adjust them after our duos. One of the first combat achievements we decided to try for was the 15 kill trip, because if you're going to be doing this, you need to do it duo.
I got mine.
Nice, mine's 9%. Oh, wait, we got it now?
We got it. Oh.
Let's go. Dude, look at all the loot. Wait, loot. We gotta pick all this shit up now. We gotta be fast.
Royal Titans.
It has to be
wait,
it.
do you want to leave? I think we
Yeah,
can do one more.
Okay, well, dude, I've already started picking shit up, dude. We gotta go.
Oh, Titan kill it.
Inventory space, dude. We don't have enough.
Okay, we can do one more.
But dude, I have nothing now. I have no food.
It's fine.
Okay,
it's fine.
okay, we do one more.
Pick up my food. There's
Okay,
4
we're good. We're good. And after that, we tried for the no prayer achievements. Yep.
Yeah.
No time to pray. Sweet.
Got 5 points.
But overall, we ended up doing a roughly 70 KC together, and it went by so extremely quick as duo. And we did basically all the combat achievements you had to be duo for. And we're back to solos, and we already get an elite clue skull, the first one of the grind. These are actually kind of rare, 1 in 100. But there's actually only one combat achievement I'm missing at this point, which is to let 10 of the elemental minions game end themselves on the lines. So let's see if we can bait them over the lines. Yeah, 3 of them dead already, and that's another 3, I think. I think I've been more safe than sorry than I had to be. I think I've baited over 30 of them over the lines at this point, but let's see, this should be it. Yep, there we go. Let them fight. And there it is. Green Log Royal Titans, 11 out of 11. Oh, okay. A dupe Fire Elemental Staff Crown at nearly 200 KC. It's been a while since we saw an item last time, And the dupe is not great. Since the last time I got one of these items, they have crashed in price quite a lot, but that's how it goes with new content. 2.7 million is still pretty decent.